Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Naruto Next Generation discussion, and today we have some breaking news regarding the Boruto time skip. So, as we previously gone over, the events of Boruto Volume 20 were being promoted as being the end of Boruto Part 1, and during the 3-month break that Boruto's manga has been on, V-Jump magazine has been doing a countdown to launch Boruto Part 2 next month with recaps of Boruto Part 1 with additional supplemental information. Well, in the latest issue of V-Jump magazine, we got some major news. We got our first look at Teenage Sarada with a design that has a ton of Easter eggs for it, and we get interesting confirmation that Boruto Part 2 will be doing something unprecedented when it comes to the Naruto franchise in manga format, which is we are getting an official title change for Boruto Part 2. So let's start with the latter, since you've already seen Teenage Sarada's design on the thumbnail. The official name for Boruto Part 2 will no longer be Boruto Naruto Next Generations, but instead the title will be Boruto 2 Blue Vortex as the official title. Now this is interesting in terms of a decision, and I know it's one that myself and the big homie Forever World have talked about in private for a few months now, the possibility of a rebrand of the Boruto manga to try and shake up sales in the physical sense and garner new exposure by getting fans who previously dropped the manga early on to come back to the manga. The idea of going with a new title for Boruto Part 2 is interesting, but here's the other thing. This is unprecedented because there was no Naruto Shippuden manga. There was only the Naruto manga from volume 1 to 72, and technically Naruto Gaiden is volume 73 since it's chapters 701 to 710. Naruto Shippuden is only something that exists in anime format in terms of title. The only difference between Naruto Part 1 and Part 2 in the manga volumes was that the manga volumes switched from having a white cover to a black cover during its initial serialization. However, taking out the financial decision that comes from changing the name for a rebrand, there are also two other interesting things of note in regards to this title change. First, this could be Mikio Ikimoto's JoJo Bizarre Adventure influence actually coming out, since we've seen with the designs and the color combinations that he likes to use, some of the poses, and even Code's fighting style where the claw marks are used as paying homage to a JoJo character who comes out of zippers in the same way that Code comes out of the claw marks. JoJo's manga is also broken up into parts, with each part having its own name, which I could see that as being the inspiration behind this. I haven't personally read JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but that is something I have been told. Since Naruto was one manga, and in Japan, Dragon Ball did the same thing. It only had one name in terms of the manga, and since those are the three works that Ikimoto draws on consistently, that would be a straight line pattern that you could draw there. However, the name itself is very intriguing because there are what I believe to be three possibilities behind the name chosen and the similarity that we have to the Minato one-shot that just got released that used the concept of a vortex in the title as well. The 2 blue vortex could be a reference to obviously the Uzumaki clan, since they are from the Hidden Eddy village, i.e. the Hidden Whirlpool village, but 2 blue could also be a reference to Naruto and Boruto, since as we were told, Boruto Part 1, by Boruto's own words, is the story of father and son, but Part 2 would just be Boruto's story, but specifically said that Naruto still have a role in the story due to being Boruto's father and being the Hokage. The other connection that you could draw is keeping in line with the concept of legacy, and Naruto has 2 children. Both children, Boruto and Himawari, have blue eyes, so the 2 blue vortex could be a reference to Naruto's children and the potential role that both have in Part 2, especially after all the teases we got in the 2 final arcs of Boruto Part 1 that had Himawari teasing becoming a ninja and having a hidden power. Now finally, 2 blue vortex, which I believe this is going to be the case, could be a reference to Boruto and Kawaki. And here's the reason why I say that. Boruto is Naruto's son by birth. Kawaki is the adopted son of Naruto, but in universe, due to Kawaki's role being changed because of Ada's Shinjutsu, Kawaki now goes by the name Kawaki Uzumaki. That would also explain the anime's decision to have both Boruto and Kawaki declare this was their story at the same time simultaneously, which, given we were told years ago that the anime and manga are connected on parallel paths with intersecting points, meant to give the full version of the Boruto story, this would make a lot of sense. Things that the anime does has to get cleared by the manga team first. That was specifically told to us. One is a vortex by birth, and the other is a vortex in name only, and Boruto versus Kawaki is going to be one of the main focal points of Boruto Part 2. I personally love this for the reason that it does continue Masashi Kishimoto's penchant for slipping in clever puns into either jutsu names or character names having secret meanings, or even the names of chapters having hidden messages for them. Now, when it comes to Sarada, I'm just going to go ahead and kick the hornet's nest here. I want to say one thing in particular. This was shown to us in V-Jump magazine, but I do think there's a 50-50 chance of this actually being her time skip design. And the only reason why I say it's 50-50 is that if you're an OG fan from back in late 2015, when we started getting some teases in Weekly Shonen Jump that Boruto's manga will be dropping in 2016 in the spring, you know that Ikimoto went through a couple of design changes for Sarada before we ended up settling on the one that we got in the manga. The same with his design choices for Kawaki. There's more than one version of Kawaki instead of the one that you just got. Given Ikimoto does have a penchant for playing around with designs and colors, I think that there's a possibility this design might be tweaked by the time we get the official chapter next month, and next month's issue of V-Jump magazine has probably already been tweaked, just given the fact that mangaka tend to storyboard and etc. well in advance. However, if this does end up being the case, if this is the design, I do love it. My guy at Kazen Kaze made a really good point that I was pleasantly surprised to see that more people actually picked up on, which is that Sarada's time skip design continues what Masashi Kishimoto originally did for Ninja Sarada, which was blending aspects of both of her parents, Sasuke and Sakura, into her initial design. This is continuing the trend that we see here with the time skip design. The choke collar has the Haruno clan symbol on it that Sarada wore on her back and in her clothes in Naruto Part 1. Her earrings have the earrings of the Uchiha clan crest on it. It's a nice throwback to the original element, while also, as he pointed out, the jacket might be inspired by Boruto, with the red inside of the jacket being her nod to Boruto, which, if this is the design that we go with, that is a video in of itself, because Sarada has major balls for that one because she's taking a direct stance against Kawaki right there. Emo, petty Sarada arc, I'm all for it because sarcasm is the language of the intelligent, and Sarada is pretty intelligent, and that's a very petty swipe that might go over Kawaki's head. Here's where I'm kicking the hornet's nest. I've seen people get irritated that you can see Sarada's shoulders in this new design, and honestly, I think that's nitpicking to high hell. We're freaking out over shoulders being shown. I have a 16-year-old niece who wears similar stuff when she goes to parties. She wears similar stuff when she hangs out with her friends. When I was in high school, girls dressed showing a similar amount of skin, particularly outside of the school, where they would have to wear a jacket while in school, because I went to a school that was located in the Bible Belt. So it was a land of blood, bullets, four-wheelers, and the wrath of Jesus because of how ultra-conservative it was. We don't see Sarada's whole body in this, but I venture to say she's probably wearing a skirt or a dress, and if she is, I'm just gonna keep it real with you. Some of the people who have been outraged over this, when I've taken the time, and I got time right now, I've gone through their timeline and I see those same people, they're acting holier than thou, clutching their pearls, and their fellow Black Clover fans such as myself. Noelle at age 15 was showing more lower body skin than Sarada did with a shorter skirt, and when she's 16, we've seen whole booty cheeks out of Noelle. We've seen whole upper exposed breasts out of Noelle, Mimosa, and Laura Pesca, big old titties just hanging in the manga. The same people have likes with Marin Kitagawa from My Dress Up Darling, a series I also read, who was 15 and 16 in the manga. If you've watched My Dress Up Darling, you know that there's quite a bit of fan service in that. We've seen Bulma in a bunny outfit in Dragon Ball at age 16, flashing her new kitty cat to Master Roshi, showing whole butt cheeks to the actual screen, showing her whole upper body exposed with nipples being shown in the manga. Nezuko in her demon form in Demon Slayer. Kagome from Inuyasha has a shorter skirt than Sarada wears in Boruto's manga. Eris Grey Rat has had her whole chest showing and showed a lot of her legs due to wearing short shorts between the ages of 12 and 15. And there were close-up shots of her breasts in the anime. Bleach having Rukia and Orihime nude on the manga cover, literally nude with no clothes on, the top of the booty meat just showing. And you see Orihime's breasts are so voluptuous that you can see the front from the back, despite the fact that Orihime is 15 at this time. All I'm saying is, if we're gonna go there, keep it consistent. Shonen has always had some degree of fan service. It's a trope as old as the gag of the idiot main character and the hot-tempered female co-lead being part of the main cast. If we see 16-year-old Sarada showing her legs in the time skip in a short dress, I'm not gonna be super pissed off, because I've seen worse in shonen manga to the point where I can name 15 shonen heroine in the same age range that Sarada's in, designed way worse, showing way more, and legend has it, I've read read a lot of manga. I'm not even finished putting together my bookshelf so I can put my whole manga collection in my office. I personally think it's cherry-pick outrage because there's a level of emotional attachment since Sasuke is such a beloved character, and this is Sasuke's daughter, so by extension, there are probably some people looking at this like Sarada's like a family member. But in general, when compared to other shonen, Sarada's design, keeping it real, it's tame. Which is why the same people I've seen down bad for Noelle and Marin, I'm saying it right now, you're a hypocrite. Maybe if Sarada had a big old chest with some big old titties, they look the other way because boobs. Wearing high heels doesn't make anyone any less of a ninja either. Tsunade is one of the strongest females in the series, was cracking Madara Susanoo with a punch, shattering it with a kick with those same high heels, and body slamming a full body Susanoo. Tsunade is a top 3 strongest kunoichi in Naruto, and she wears heels. The same with at times you've seen Sakura in Naruto's manga wear heels as well, and when you look at Boruto, the current Tsuchikage also wears high heels. 2 of those characters are adults, but 1 was a teenager. I don't see the outrage on it. Again, I think that this is selective outrage. I do want to hear from you guys in terms of your thoughts on the actual design that we got. Do you want this to be the final design for Sarada? And I also, most importantly, want to know what you guys think about Boruto Part 2 breaking away from the precedent that Naruto's franchise had by having Part 2 go by a different name in manga format, whereas Naruto never did such a thing. While you think that over, click here to watch my Minato one-shot review if you haven't already.